morning or good afternoon, students. Professor Mandawdi Karwani. All the details are presented on the first slide. The purpose of this lecture actually is to present Knowledge Area 1. I'll present regarding two topics. These are highlighted downward here somewhere. You find there is an approach in the study of geography, philosophy, methods, location, and spatial distribution. So actually we are going back to define what geography, the origin, and how it started. But I want to emphasize here that geography is a dynamic subject. It changes over time. As you can see, in early stages of its development, it originated from a Greek name geo, that means the earth, and the geographos, description of the earth. Now, since geography is centered in questioning, we start with the first question: why one place differs from another? Why and how people in their world is the same or different? So we use different methods here and approaches in teaching geography. Because social, economic, and cultural development, they are not static. They are always changing. So geographers, in understanding this, they use curiosity. Curiosity was used during the early times when the early geographers were involved in explorations and mapping. But at the same time, curiosity continues after in the modern geography. So let's start first by seeing in early times how geography, they learned geography. So those were the early explorers, some were scholars, they were Greek scholars. Their names are given there. So these are the founders actually of these subjects. So at that early stage, explorations, descriptions, interpretations, mapping, or it was when governed geography. So we found that the main purpose by that time, the main focus was on geography as a regional geography. That is, you study interpretation of variable characters of the earth from place to place. So it was mainly concerning with the area of differentiation based on physical landscapes. That's why in regional geography study reefs, people, forests or vegetations. All these are major differentiations on the landscape. So it was mainly focused on causes, the description of human activity in particular areas or regions. So here is just a summary. We are trying to compare how geography as a dynamic subject changes. So about on the relationship between human activities and natural physical environment. Traditional physical geographers, the main concern was on human physical environment interaction. But they put more emphasis on physical natural environment. They say that it was the natural environment which shaped human activities. That's why they are called environmental determinists. And the philosophy behind is environmental determinism. But as I said, geography is a changing subject. Modern geographers so that they don't actually disregard what has been done by others, but they add more knowledge. In this case, new knowledge is about the interaction of human activities. That is the human activities that shape the environment, and not the environment which shape the human activities. So this is the main essence of modern geography, and this is what we have developed some 4 areas. So, of recent has necessitated concentration on 4 major social development issues. That remain the damage of the environment. This is a topic even today. Increasing poverty and indebtedness, particularly in the developed countries. These are the topics which we are talking now. Information evolution, information is changing with technology to manipulate various information. Therefore, this is the main concern of modern geography. Also, in the understanding that now the globe is almost a village. It's a village, so we need to, information has increased the interaction between the environment and the people and the cultural exchange, etc. So how human geography seeks solution to the already mentioned 4 major issues. That's the concern of the tradition and the interdependence of society and ecology instead of studying the two in isolation. Now, human geography incorporates finance, depth, information evolution, and research on the interrelationship of the gender, culture. You can see it's the same environment, but with different activities. But now there are rising new need for new knowledge about the same region geography. Now they are talking about those aspects which I've already mentioned. Not only the physical features as such, but it has changed its model of learning. Now, with modern geography and basic concepts, you see, now it seeks to explain why things are distributed over the surface of the earth. Also, it's concerned with the different relations of different distributions, the distribution of economic activities, per capita income, and the resultant regional features. So you can see how it has changed from purely descriptive to other methods. The basics of seeking knowledge in geography mainly centered on questions which are frequently asked. For example, what is it? Where is it? How did it come to be? What? Where? Where is it in relation to other physical social relations? How is it part of functioning whole? How, etc. So these are the bases which make geography keep on changing, because this question responds to the change of time and space. This is another emphasis to show how the 4 concepts are interrelated with the reference to place. So here, place is very essential in geography because of the reason that have been shown. Location, physical culture characteristics, place characteristics development, as well as interaction. All these take place on the place. So I would ask you to refer to the scenario which is given in Bonille et al., which shows after the scope of geography. I'm saying this because we already have the notes, so you simply refer to the notes to see the scope of geography. Now, there are 4 major approaches, traditional and the traditional geography. The geography as a discipline has 4 major approaches. These they apply even modern and in the traditional geography. Earth science tradition. That's the focus on the science, which is the root of origin of geography, dealing with the human environment system, helps physical geographer to understand the earth. Again, we have the culture environmental approach. This is mainly centered on cultural aspects that have been listed here. We have the locational or the spatial approach tradition. The best most of geography inquiries linked to the study of regions. We have aerial analysis approach. It is one of the oldest approaches able since that time. It concerns on the nature of places, particularly physical earth for the intention of understanding where of places. So all this, they emphasize how location is very essential in geography. That part, as we have covered at least on the approach, philosophy, and methodology in geography. Now we go to topic number 2, location, spatial distribution. Description of this particular topic is given. That's the basic components of spatial organization. Also to explain systematic distribution of phenomena on the above Earth. Also, it's important to know where-ness or location. So the objectives, you students are supposed to adhere to the following objective: to explain the concepts of location, spatial distribution, and the interaction, apply principles of interaction in your location. Now, it is a basic concept of spatial organization. It has been defined there. An area commonly organized and defined in which human activity takes place. That's location. And it's from location that one can assert location with similar character of regions. Region with similar characteristics, areas with similar characteristics can be termed as one type of region. They can be located on the earth. Lines connecting location, e.g. path, roads, and they also define location of a settlement. That becomes a linear location. There are different ways of specifying location. Normally there are two. Nominal specification. Nominal comes from the word name. When you are talking of the location of a place with reference to other places, that is nominal. For example, you can say, maybe you want to explain that Kampala or Nairobi. It clicks in the mind already that Kampala is somewhere already in Uganda or Nairobi in Kenya. Advantages of this kind of explanation is that it gives the description can give a hint on the size and other things that can make you gather some more knowledge about that place. It may contain some historical, like Odubai or Sahara. Disadvantage of naming is that the location is not unique. You can find the words like names like Kariako, in Dar es Salaam, in Zanzibar, in Nairobi. Now this can give some confusion. While nominal locations are also not stable, they change. Sometimes they change due to political or boundaries and so forth. For example, the word Leopoldville, the name Leopoldville changed to Kinshasa. So nominal names are vague because they can change over time, and sometimes they can bring confusion. We have Mount Kilimanjaro. Though formerly Kilimanjaro belonged to Kenya, but even now, still Kilimanjaro is in Tanzania now. But when you talk in terms of Kilimanjaro, when you are in Kenya, so it has some connotations which are not that much clear. Then you have absolute location and relative location. Absolute location, it is a precise position on the Earth's surface in relation to conventional grid references. This is more mathematical and more exactive by using longitudes, you see, latitudes, grid systems, and so on. Polar coordination, coordinate systems, grid references, and so on. So this one is more accurate. Advantage is that the uniqueness is independent of other characteristics. The description does not change over time. It is very useful in measuring distances, separate places. It is also useful for finding direction between places. Now, with the relative location, Relative location is the position of a place with respect to other locations. You see, Morogoro is 200 west of Dar es Salaam. Tanga is so many kilometers from Nairobi. These are relative. You are using relative position to describe a position. Now, the challenge that using time now, sometimes the names can be there, but the travel time, for example, you cannot specify it because it depends on the condition of the road and other infrastructure issues that can distort the position of a place when you use relative location. Now, secondly, the spatial distribution. Spatial distribution is the frequency with which something occurs in terrestrial space in various dimensions. It can be area and density. For example, when you are talking of population, density of population, you talk of area per population. Or distribution of like things. Some are ubiquitous, like sand, they are found everywhere. That's very difficult to show exact distribution, as in the desert. Everywhere there is sand. Or when you are talking about water bodies, it becomes a bit difficult to localize. But there are certain areas that you can localize them with precision. Now, spatial pattern with the reference to points. Points are used to show different phenomena, but they can also use to show different patterns. For example, when you use a dot to show a human settlement, like a village, or it can be town or cities and so on, while on a map, you can use points to show some 3-point patterns. Those 3-point patterns, if I can draw it here, yeah, when it comes to using points as a pattern for spatial, as part of spatial patterns distribution, there are 3. You can find, for example, here you have even or regular. You find that the points are regularly distributed. It can be towns, it can be villages or whatever. But here you find random, they are a bit not in a regular form. There are some, but this one you find uneven, they are far apart, sparsely distributed. However, there are 2 ways you can assess the place, whether it's even or randomly distributed, by just observation, looking at the points, the nature of the points as I pointed out here, whether they are evenly, whether they are concentrated in one place or scattered. So, but mathematically you can compute by using the NNI, that's nearest neighbor index. This is very important in planning. Suppose you are trying to plan for villages, you want to see, to bring a social service to those villages. You should see how near those villages are, so use the NNI and other, even for studies. Now, apart from that, we have spatial line patterns. These lines can be used in various uses in geography. You can use it to show features of distribution. You can see hatches. Sometimes we can make some different shading using lines to show whether it's a lowland or a highland, or you can use it. So these are some of the uses they show different patterns, or to show different means of transport, roads, railway line, all these are lines. And also to display spatial line patterns such as, for example, lines can show different drainage systems, dendritic, we see regular or trellis. So there are so millions of users of lines, but it's enough, it suffices to say that the lines show a certain pattern. which is the distribution of phenomena. So this is just a summary where we have said clustered, random, and regular. Men produce various patterns depending on the object. You see streams and slopes and whatever. Transport system, as I say. So we summarize that part. Now we go to spatial processes in relation to interaction and diffusion. So actually, this part is about the information on the structures of towns. Without spatial processes, there would be no social economic development. Another importance of studying spatial processes in relation to interaction is also diffusion. Diffusion actually is very important in the spreading of ideas. The mass media we have today, they are built on this concept that in order people to interact, they should also interact in terms of information. So information or knowledge is spread by diffusion. So we have been talking more about spatial processes. Then the definition for the spatial processes is that the process is a mechanism which leads to the emergence of spatial structures like markets, rural, urban centers. It involves goods, services, information. Actually, to make it simpler, human beings need to interact in one way or another, whether in trade, individually, but also countries. Like individuals, they also interact through human beings. You have the spatial interaction enables people, local and global, become more homogeneous. It's through information and interaction. When you have trade between countries, you have also trade in different countries at the global level. So interaction is something which you can't avoid in the human process development. Now, causes for interaction. You cannot exhaust them, but we have actually here trying to show some. What is the root cause of human-spatial interaction? Regional variations. As you can see that the Earth is not even, it's variable aspects, resources are not found in one place. You see, they are distributed unevenly. So in order to meet human wants, one needed to interact with the people. Those with less resources, they have to interact with those with more or surplus resources. Uneven distribution of people, interaction for exchange of goods. For example, in the rural-urban migration is basically caused by differences in the resources. That is, in the urban areas where people think there are employment opportunities, and they interact. They move from the rural area to the urban, using what we call as urban rights. These are but some few examples. We can discuss so many things. This is just as an example. As I said, geography is based on asking questions, on curiosity. You have such a question: what factor which influence spatial interaction? You see, the key player in the spatial interaction is human behavior, because human behavior is the one which judges whether they have to travel with longer distance or shorter distances, and at what cost. So you find that in most cases, people of low income living in rural areas, they normally migrate to urban areas in search of goods and services, you see. Or where social and economic services are available. In the case of urban areas, they attract rural population to migrate. This is a model which can be used the same even at global level. There are areas which are rich in petroleum, some areas are rich in forests, some areas are rich in minerals. So these the global countries are not uniform. So these differences in the area differences in the resources make them force them to interact. For example, developed countries need raw materials from the developing countries, while also developing countries, they need manufactured goods from these industrialized countries. So this is why spatial interaction is necessary for human development in general. The problem now, as we are experiencing now, is that of price for raw materials. Low priced raw materials, particularly facing the developing countries, it was set by developed countries. So this makes the problem now of imbalance in trade, leading to poorer and developed countries ending up poorer and becoming poorer and poorer with bad debts. Why do people and places interact? Two main reasons. This, I think, is for your assignment, but I have given already the answer. They need to change environment at this case with tourism, the case with tourism migration. They need it for trade, because not all individuals and communities produce the same goods. I think I've already covered this. Now we go now to the costs, which actually make interaction difficult, or can also interaction be simpler. These are geodesic or physical distance. Not all places are found in one place. There is the factor, the friction of distance. This also making interaction difficult. Time, it depends on the mode of transport. One who is traveling using an aeroplane, someone traveling by bus from Dar es Salaam to Mwanza, for example, one will reach area than the other. Not everybody is interested in reaching area, but the barrier that you cannot meet the travel cost in terms of money, in terms of cost, of time, and so on. So, but those are the value. We have also some social costs. These are psychological. You cannot force someone to travel somewhere. A person has individual decisions. Some people may prefer to go to buy a similar product to a more expensive shop, which maybe is found in Iringa, than a cheap shop which is around at Kariakor. So these are psychological. So there are costs. Or someone whom they are not in good terms, can be even countries or individuals. So they cannot trade simply because of psychological costs, that they are not at par. They don't. They cannot cooperate because of some social differences. So those are termed as social costs. Distance decay function. This is the relationship between intensity of interaction and the distance. The shorter the distance, the more the interaction depends on the mode of transport. Again, this distance decay function is affected by other distance costs, as we have seen. Fare, distance from one place to another, relations between individuals. So all these are, so the distance decay function, it can arbitrarily show that things are in good order, but in the actual practice, depending on many other factors. Those are the formula for the calculate for the distance. I think since they are already in your notes, you have to do something to understand them. Spatial interaction models. There are various spatial interaction models, but at this early stage, we have selected the Ullmann's spatial interaction model and Hagerstrand's spatial diffusion model. Now, we also have the gravity model. This has been borrowed from physics, the Newton's laws, the gravity model. So it acts on the principles of physics, but it also is related to human beings. When the products are nearer, people or the population is high, it tends to attract the market, you see. So these are physics borrowed terminology, but they also can be used to express some social sciences phenomena. Let's go quickly to one of these models. So, the decayed function, the decayed distance function, assume that things are constant, that things are okay. But these have limitations. For example, the human behavior, as we said before, mode of transport. It can be affected by intervening opportunities. For example, though from this point here, from here to here is just 0.5 units. You see, this is the P is located somewhere. But from here is 2 units. Someone may prefer from this point to go and maybe interact with C because of such reasons that I've shown. So the intervening opportunity can be of help. But this one is does not. Ullman have expressed that according to his model, he didn't actually. He dismissed the use of the intervening opportunity, as we shall see just now. No, see, whenever you are dealing with any model, at least you have to show the assumptions and the essence of that model. The essence has been expressed here, that it provides essential factors for spatial interaction, while spatial diffusion model predicts the spreading of innovation and so on. So let's go directly to Ullman. Ullman proposed some 3 assumptions. Complementarity, the variation of 2 or more regions, location area based on demand and surplus. While transferability, it is the degree of easiness to move a good from one place to another. Absence of intervening opportunities. As I said before, you saw the opportunity, the intervening opportunity can be an alternative, but in his case, he assumed that, assuming the intervening opportunity is missing or is lacking. So he developed that Ullman's spatial interaction model. But there are critics. Some they say that there are assumptions, they are not realistic because intervening opportunities are already there. You see, there are some kind of complementarity, but there are some areas which do not have complementarity, but they can still interact. So you can give a number of criticisms, but as I said, time is limited. You can just discuss among yourself in the groups and come up. Let's go to Hagerstrand's spatial diffusion model. The assumptions which are asserted by Hagerstrand. Actually, this person was an agricultural, economist. He was assessing the mode of interaction of technology in Sweden, where he found that he had some assumptions. Presence of agent to send a new idea, absence of physical barriers that to facilitate. By that time, due to low technology, the main means of communication is from interpersonal contacts. One takes the message and carries to the next person. Absence of psychological barriers, that people are willing to accept the idea and transfer it from one individual to another. Those are assumptions, you see. Also, he assumed that lack of absorbing barriers like the coastline. You see, the coastline normally cut the people who are staying in the ocean and those who are inland. So he assumed these things are not there, so the idea can spread easily. But information tends to bounce off. Psychological barriers, human minds, as I've already said, they can be also a detractor. But the cultural barriers also may assume the language the language compounded by religion, religious, traditional, and the political barriers. These also can be other barriers. So the limitation of the model is looked upon in comparison with the modern world. For example, not necessarily people who are near the place in innovation can be the first to diffuse. They can just refuse. Or some may decide to monopolize it. Modern technology or communication is not determined nowadays by physical barriers. The rich may afford to buy the idea. You see now we have patents. If you want certain information which are very difficult, you have to buy the information. Even the computer, some of the information you cannot download it straight. You see, despite the limitations, yet this model is helpful. So generally, the diffusion model can be classified into two. There's expansion diffusion model occurs where the total number of people who acquire new technology tend to increase over time as knowledge from. So now it becomes a combination of contagious, becomes a combination of various ways. Now, those combination of various types of diffusion, they make the diffusion expand. Even can reach even at a global level, at a hierarchical level. So nowadays you can see now diffusion at a hierarchical level that's started from the top downwards is now common because with globalization now we get information, knowledge. With the computers, you get a lot of information on the computer. So now this is a hierarchical diffusion, turning the world to a village. So those are activities that you will be supposed to do when you sit down. I think you take care of them. 1, 2, 3, 4 activities. Now, let me go now to the last concept of region and the regional classification. You see, we are used to hearing a certain region. There are people who have done some homework to come up with the idea of regionalism, because there are so many aspects in the world, and you cannot cover them. So, in order to ease, to share knowledge, it was seen that it's important now to classify phenomena into groups or regions for the ease of study. Otherwise, there will be confusion, and also of sharing common knowledge. Suppose here in Tanzania, if each of the existing areas we have its own climate, has its own time, has its own human activities, I think there will be confusion. We know that's not easier to classify things together, but that's where the idea that we have to select certain properties which are common that can be used for selection for various uses, for political and economic uses. So the definition here is a systematic way of grouping objects or events into classes on the basis of properties or relationship they have in common. That is Abla, 1971. When it comes to definition, don't say, this year is too old, 1971. But a definition is a definition. See, it's scientific, it remains there. Reasons for classification, for example, to give order to the complex disorderly things. If you leave things, as I said, to be very difficult to study. For example, when you take the aspect of time, we have zonal time. if each of the country or the region or each of the village will take its own time on the earth, there will be confusion. So again, to grouping people, animals, insects, plants, and non-living things using certain criteria, the sake of organized knowledge. This is for the sake of organized knowledge. Two ways of classification. Either one can use by dividing a population using criteria for subdivisions as presence and absence of one or the more attributes. So you can either subdivide things, and so that you can make the classification easier, or you can use the other way, that of agglomerating. So you find characters of similar phenomena with similar characters, you group them, then you can make also some kind of classification. That is, now individuals assembles them into classes according to some grouping procedure. Qualities of good classification criteria. You see, because this classification is universal sometimes. You are not classifying for Tanzania or for your village. This classification should be of use at least at international level. So you must observe certain qualities. One, it must be exclusive, exhaustive. You have to exhaust these characteristics and see that they are found in different phenomena. And before you decide to name that this is a group or this is a region, you must certify that yourself that you have tried to make the classification, the criteria exhaustively. But also the classes must be mutually exclusive. That the classes, they do not overlap. When you are saying that 10 inches, if something is 10 inches, then this is the vegetation is dwarfed. If it's 10 meters and or something, this is tall or whatever, maybe this is an intense, large forest. So you must be sincere, or you must stick to the criteria which you have to be consistent. Classification and regionalization. Every small space on the earth is unique, yet it has combinations of attributes that resemble combination of the other places. In this respect, we divide the earth's surface into some regions using certain criteria. Thus, we have the equatorial region. Not everywhere in the equatorial find each and everything the same, but when you talk about savanna type of region, you are talking about certain criteria which are more or less similar. You cannot get replica things in criteria, but at least you have a rough idea of classifying them. So definition of region is any tract of the Earth's surface with characteristics either natural or man-made which make it different from areas that surrounding it. When you say it is a desert, then when you go around it, maybe it should be totally different from a savanna or a low savanna. So this is how you can make a successful type of classification. Now we are trying to remind ourselves, this is when we say regions, and you cannot go there and find them naturally, they are printed. It's just abstract construction in the people's mind. Yeah. But when you go there, you cannot find somewhere the trees are labeled, this is equatorial or whatever. But it's just an abstract in the mind. But also, primarily it exists in the mind of the classifier. Also, it depends on the criteria used in the classification and the purpose of the classification. So it's not surprising when you go to different, particularly when you are doing research. One research can use a different approach and come up with a different classification. Because it depends on the purpose. If you are making a research maybe on garages which are found in Tanzania, you find different types of criteria will be used to define whether this is a garage or not. So thus we expect also to be some different classification in that respect. As different people can classify the same region different. These are just basic for classification, singular, plural, that's what we said, we classify them together. See, uniform regions, defined by presence or absence of particular distinguishing features, clear or cut boundary. But we can have nodal regions. These are found when we at one nodal point where you find the regions character die outside and toward the periphery, whose outer boundary is very difficult to plot. So they form a kind of a nodal kind of region. Regional systems, the regional characteristics, either detailed or generalized, avoiding uniqueness and too much generality, by assembling information into manageable reality. For example, here, regional systems. For example, when you talk of Africa as a region, inside you find there are so many differences. There are differences. Or you can find, since they also have some climatic characteristics, some of the characteristics are found in Asia, which is also a region. Or they are found in Europe, where is also a region. But we confine these to Africa because just to give a name that these are uniquely found, they are found in a particular area. So whether they can be similar to other regions, as I say, but the purpose to show that in Africa we have this kind of Africa. In Asia we have this kind. So this is a regional system. Now let's go to see the classification problem. There are cultural and the image assessments change with the time. See, I think as you can see, culture is changing. When you read the geography of the regions by who? Clark, I think. Geography of the regions. In 20 or 40 years ago, the geography of regions, and maybe in Tanzania, was completely different because by that, the culture was different from the existing one. So even culture also, they change according to time, as I said previously, that the dynamism of geography. You see, disappearance of cultural and physical features. You see. There are certain areas now we have deforestation is taking place due to human pressure over resources. Now there are regions which they were termed maybe equatorial forests. When you go there now, you cannot find them. They have been depleted, so they are modified. You see, so this also can cause some differences in classification. Someone who read the same geography in 1960s, when it comes to read the same area, you find a different geography existing because of the changes. Change of meaning of a concept. For example, desert. Those old days when we learned geography, the desert was a useless, a heathland, useless land. But now, the same deserts can be transformed to agriculture. You see, through irrigation. Or sometimes the same deserts, we have found that they have some mineral resources, petroleum, mineral resources like that. So they are no longer useless. They are actually, sometimes they are useful and they are wealthier and wealthier than other regions, which are non-desert lands. So classification are not objective. They are influenced by the purpose of the background of the classifier. Different people can come up with different classification. So this just takes up the summary of what we talked about, the regional classification. Just taking the important notes which have been presented. And I assigning that activity, why classification is important, and identify any 3 regional systems in Tanzania. What criteria have you been used to make those classifications? I think that ends up my presentation.